And I
Yeah.
just think that's really telling
Yeah.
that when creating a narrative that there is a have and a have not, there is a powerful group and a powerless group,
Mhm.
that those in power immediately dehumanize, immediately debase, immediately devalue the other group,
Yeah.
in order to make themselves feel better. And like in the most simplest terms, it's like you're a bully, bitch.
Yeah. Heavy
You're
on
a
that.
bully.
What's good, everybody? It's Gloria LaJoy, aka G Money, aka Big Glow with the dub, aka Glow if you know, and Lady G if you're nasty. And I'm here with my homegirl.
Hey y'all, it's E.
And this is the quiet part out loud. Welcome back. If you're here, that means you're watching episode 4, and that's really exciting.
Hmm.
Also, you see that we got a different setup this time.
We do.
And shout out to E because she knows she is very smart and takes into account all things and collects the data and therefore knows that my house is hot.
It is. It is, friend.
And if you are in the Cleveland area, you know that Cleveland has been
Hot.
very hot.
Hot tamale.
Very hot. We've been at 90 multiple days.
Heat wave, heat
Oh,
advisories, all that.
yeah. All of that. I mean, power outages because
Yeah.
it's
Fires too.
fires, yes.
Yeah.
Things that, yes, yes. So, with that being said, we decided to do it virtually,
Mm.
so that she can stay cool. I'm a cold baby, so it's hard for me to be hot, but I am telling y'all it's pretty warm. So I respect it.
Mm.
This is our first virtual experience,
Mhm.
and we're gonna see how it go. We went through a lot of stuff
Lots of
um,
steps to get here today.
at the beginning, but E handled it. She made it through. She did wonderful,
Thank you,
and I
friend.
just tried to not distract her as she was working through the the motions. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into this. And
Mm.
today's episode is called "Are We Multifaceted?
Mm.
Identity, Intersectionality, and the Exploration of Blackness."
Ooh,
Ooh.
that's a lot.
But we're gonna start off with just kind of some overarching questions,
Mm.
and then E will share some definitions. We're gonna be talking about an article to kind of add to the conversation and the questions that we're asking and
Mm.
answering. And we're gonna go from there for real. So, our first question, right, is what is our relationship to our blackness and black culture?
Mm.
Now, when we were talking about unpacking this topic,
Mm.
I was like, I feel as though my blackness is the first thing people see. So I'm a black woman.
Right.
Um, how I'm perceived is as a black woman. But I do feel as though people don't see me as a woman first. Feel like they see me as a black person who is a woman.
Mm.
And so I'll start with E. Is that how you feel? What's your take in regards to how you're perceived and what people see first?
I think my blackness is the first thing that's seen because, and we'll get into a little bit later more as we continue to talk, um, because of the color of our skin. Like there's a lot of things
Yeah,
associated with that. So yeah, I agree with you.
yeah. Okay, so our first question,
Hmm.
what is our relationship to our blackness and black culture? In regards to my relationship to I mean, when I think of that question, a part of me it feels as though the question is like, how do you feel about being black? And what does
Mm.
that mean to show up as a black person every day? I love being black. I mean, I feel like it's hard to think about me being anything other than black.
Hmm.
However,
Hmm.
I come from a family that has some rooted colorism.
Hmm.
Being a darker skin complexion
Hmm.
was something that, like, even if it wasn't consciously me thinking about it, it was definitely some subconscious stuff
Hmm.
that, like, I dealt with as a child. And even when I started to get older and go to picking colleges and stuff like that, my
Yeah.
idea of what it meant to be black was associated with and this ties into black culture. My idea of blackness was very much attached to like the hood and the ghetto, but that's because that was my experience. I did have aunties and uncles who did not live in the ghetto,
Hmm.
who did very well, you know what I'm saying, as far as like, they lived in decent houses, nice neighborhoods. So it's not like I didn't get to see that,
Mm,
but it didn't necessarily help me not have a specific idea of what it meant to be Black.
mm,
Um, in retrospect, I can say that like even when I chose my school, I had got into a predominantly white institution and I got into a HBCU.
mm,
And of course, there were other factors that played a part in why I ended up choosing the PWR.
mm,
But one that really sticks out to me now, and I know it's incorrect. I know that my mind frame was based off of conditioning, problematic conditioning. But
mm,
part of me was like, well, if I go to an all black school, like it's gonna be just like living Far East Side in the hood, and I don't want to do that.
mm,
And that's not true.
mm,
That's not true at all. But that was my mind framing, and I was thinking I need to be around the white people. I need to make white friends so that
mm,
I can get closer to resources and assets. Like,
mm.
of course, I didn't have that language, but
Right.
like essentially, that's what it was.
Mm,
And that's a laugh because I'm like, girl, no, that's not even what happened.
yeah.
And honestly, I have primarily Black friends from school still. Like my friends who I still have relationships with are primarily Black people.
Mm,
So of course we grew up differently. So they see, you know what I'm saying? That's still a difference and we can get into that. But like, yeah, my idea of it, and I know it came from how I was conditioned to think within my family and the idea of whiteness and the idea of whiteness being better and more superior. Oh
mm,
gosh,
mm.
running rampant
Yeah.
through the minds of family members and just the way in which people showed up. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I'll stop there.
Yeah. That's definitely what's been sewn into the fabric of our society. Like that is the legacy of the United States of America. I think I went in a different direction. So I appreciate the perspective that you offered in reframing the question as how do I feel about being Black? And it wasn't a feeling like or any emotion attached to it. I really went to like a more intellectual space, which
Mm,
was like, okay, another way of asking the question of what is our relationship to Blackness and Black culture is like, okay, well, is there a way to define Blackness? Is there a way to define Black culture? Like, what does it consist of in from my point of view?
right,
And I've often said this, and I know it to be true that Blackness is not a monolith.
right,
I think when hearing you speak about your understanding of making the decision of whether or not to go to a predominantly white institution or historically Black college, and just being aware that that kind of was that tension, the dynamic in your mindset. I don't think I became aware of the fact that like Blackness was a problem, and it was a problem that was imposed upon the community and not something that like we as individual people were just like inherently supposed like we were a problem. Like we inherently were a
yeah,
problem. It very much is something that has been put on us.
yes,
But I don't think I became aware of it until maybe for the first time and definitely didn't have the language and definitely didn't have the full context and understanding of what it meant, but just it was like it was a feeling up until middle school. I had only so like this is getting to the to my answer of like what is my relationship to Blackness, what is my relationship to Black culture. You said like very much ghetto and like urban and on all those things, which again, those are words that have been put on the community.
yeah,
But I very much only listened to like hip hop and R&B up until I was maybe 12, 13 years old. That I truly believed it was the only genre of music that existed. I didn't know about country, I didn't know about rock, I didn't know about alternative, about indie, about pop. Like I
yeah,
exclusively listened to
wow,
R&B and hip hop because that's all that was played in my household. Like so,
yeah,
and I knew like a lot of the oldies. So Whitney Houston, Shaka Khan, SWV,
yeah,
In Vogue. Like because there's multiple age gap or multiple years between me and my siblings. Like my oldest sibling is like like 14 or like 18, something
okay,
around there, years older than me. So like music that was coming out in the 80s and the 90s, that's what was playing in my household. And then when we got into like the early 2000s, we're like, Beyonce was popping, and Destiny's Child and like T.I. and all them. And like 106 The Park was a big thing. And that's funny because like BET just celebrated um what was it, 25 years of BET and like 45 years or something. I could have the timelines wrong, but I have been watching clips of that and I'm like, oh, that's really cool because I remember watching 106 The Park and that was like
Yeah.
the thing
Yeah.
to put on. So like that was my whole world for a long time. And then when I got to middle school, I was exposed to bands like Paramore and Mayday Parade
Hmm.
and like This Providence. And of course, I was introduced to these bands by a white friend.
Yes.
And very quickly, like because I love Paramore down,
Yes.
okay? We
Same. Shout
rocking
out
with
to
Haley
Paramore. Hey,
Williams, okay?
Haley.
We rocking with Haley, and it's crazy that we always say like Haley Williams, like she not the whole band, she the
She
front
not.
woman,
She not.
but
But you know.
we always rocking with her. It was very much like that's white people music. Like you shouldn't be
Mm.
listening to them. Like
Mm.
that's not something for us. Da, da, da. And I'm just like, if it's got a good rhythm.
Yeah.
If it's speaking to my soul and
And
I
what?
want to shake
Exactly.
something or move around,
Yeah.
then I'm here for it. And I remember having
Yeah.
conversations with my family members where they was like clowning me about listening to those bands. Because I mean, when I was at home, I loved to sing. Like it was something that I did all day, every day. It would get to a point where it's like, Ebony, shut up. Like you've been singing all day. Like please just be quiet. And so that to me is like what came to mind in response to the question. My relationship to it, as a young woman was encapsulated in just like only knowing certain types of shows. Like I was only watching Nassau Raven, only
Mhm.
like seeking out characters and things that like spoke to like the black experience, but it wasn't like in your face or like what was stereotypical of like being thuggish or hood or like ghetto or whatever. Because
Mhm.
mama had a mouth on her when she was younger and would do the neck rolls and the snaps and all those things. Didn't mean to hit the mic, but and like that was my perception of what it meant to be like to be strong, to be forceful, to be fierce, because
Yeah.
that's what was being emulated in the culture, specifically around hip hop, like just being sexy and all those things.
Yes.
And it's like I was internalizing a lot of that
Yeah.
without really understanding, did I value it, what it meant to me, those kinds of things. But definitely like the first time I was exposed to like tension of, well, what is all of this and how what is my relationship to it? It was definitely that musical experience.
Yeah.
That
No,
that would
it's
be my response to the question.
yeah, and I appreciate the zoom in on the music piece
Mhm.
because it's so interesting because my experience with the music in particular is so
Mhm.
different. My family listens to country, rock. Like my dad had got this album, this CD album from his boss, and he gave it to me, and it's a bunch of CDs, and one CD that I wore it out was Elton John. Elton John. I was like in second grade playing that CD over and over again. Sad
Mhm.
songs, like that was my jam. And I don't know why. I don't know what it was about this CD and Elton John, but something about it touched my soul, my
Mhm.
little second grade soul. And I listened to it every day, all the time.
Mhm.
And so, having like growing up on a lot of different music. Like my
Mhm.
cousin was could sing. My family is relatively musical.
Mhm.
So like my cousin could sing and she would never sing like the black songs. She
Mhm.
sung Hilary Duff and Christina
Hey.
Aguilera, you know? So growing up, it's like, and I'm with her a lot of the time. I'm getting hip to Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, all the pop girlies at the time, 2000s era of that.
Mhm.
And I appreciate it now because it helped me be well versed in music in general.
Mhm.
And it's just interesting though, because I think when we think about black culture, music
Mhm.
is definitely something that's at the top of
Yeah.
the conversation, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is hip hop? Who started hip hop? What
Mhm.
is hip hop dead?
Mhm.
Like, that's one thing that we talk about a lot now because
Mhm.
how it sounded once upon a time versus how it sounds now
Right.
feels misaligned with certain generations.
Mhm.
However, like hip hop is what it is for right now to
Mhm.
the generation that's leading it right now for real.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so I think black culture in itself like has some things that are very stand still, very foundational,
Mm-hmm.
but also it's a evolving thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think there are pros and cons to it because we know that everybody is watching
Mm-hmm.
blackness and black culture
Mm-hmm.
decide what's about to be next. What's
Yeah,
the hottest trend? Typically, the hottest trend is associated with something that is black.
exactly.
We make the coolness.
The blueprint.
Like we are the blueprint. That and
Yes.
an example of that right now, because I seen this and I was like, this is
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Apparently Kylie Jenner was wearing like a white tank top known as wife beaters, but we trying to stay away from that
Yeah.
label.
Yeah.
But apparently she was wearing this tank, and now the girls are going crazy, and they're calling it a Kylie tank or something crazy. And it's like, where have y'all been? Do y'all know that that's been a thing for like a really long time? Like people put that under their shirts.
Yeah.
That's an undershirt.
Yeah.
You take it off when you get hot, and
Yeah.
that been a thing.
Yeah.
But now it's viral, and Kylie is the founder of this dang on tank.
I don't know what it is about the Jenners and the Kardashians, but like anything this circus of marketing can do to workshop and I think it's like a way in which to keep them relevant. I know that like they have multiple businesses. They're wealthy people, individuals, like, but outside of just being on your TV and doing dumb shit on TV, like and saying dumb shit on TV, like who really cares? And so I think
Yeah,
it's their my opinion is that it's their team's job to just find something to latch onto and then just make it a thing and like
yeah.
try to make it a trend like because it's always something like there was a time where like they
The
had
cornrows.
cornrows and they were calling them boxer braids and it was and I'm just like what and I mean that is just the way that whole machine just
Yeah.
gyrates and orchestrates is like there are things because I want to take it back to what you were saying, but I will complete my original thought. But there's just things that like have existed, will have and will continue to exist, and then some other group that just wasn't aware of the roots of the thing just wants to
Come along and
come along and try to like
say that it.
revitalize it in a way as if it needed to be
Yeah,
like as if it needed to be resuscitated, like as if it was a dead thing. It's like, oh, well, we have to make it live again. And then when they feel that they get the credit and the accolade for being able to do that, then I don't know, it makes them feel good. It's really weird energy, but I mean, not too much on that because I'm just like, that's so stupid. And it's like I
yeah,
don't want to talk about ridiculous things. That's a waste of time. Earlier you were saying that there are like staples or like standards that are key in Black culture. And I just wanted to know like do you feel comfortable naming like for you? Like we already established music is one of the things, but like what are some other tenets or principles or just that really for you personally say this is what Black culture is about, you know? And just to be clear for anyone in the audience, like we also define culture, the academic definition, right? Is like these are the customs, these are the beliefs, these are the values and the practices that a group of people emulate and exhibit, you know? So and this can look different for every person
absolutely,
because it's just like it's personal to like how you've lived your life and what you've been exposed
absolutely.
to. So, but I'm curious, like, what are some of the staples of Black culture for you?
Definitely language.
Mm,
Certain things that we say,
mm-hmm,
whether it's verbal or nonverbal.
mm-hmm,
Like there are some looks, there are some things when some stuff happened that's just not really typically what we do.
mm-hmm,
We end up looking at each other.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because as a collective, we're confused and we know that that's just not typically something that is of us. Like we like that's
Yep,
strange.
yep, yep.
So language, music, and the verbal and nonverbal,
Mm,
um, and God and spirituality.
mm,
We're very spiritual people. I feel like, and I think it's heavily associated to just the plight.
Mm,
experience what we've come from, the fact that we are here. And I think there's a book that says it. I don't know what the book is, but it just kind of talks about like the fact that we are here is a testament to the inability to kill us. Like we
mm,
continue to multiply outside of
mm,
all of the attempts to wipe us out
mm.
from the beginning of time. Like we are
That's powerful.
indestructible. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? Our presence on this earth, our presence in the world, our presence in this country
mm,
goes against everything people have attempted to do to kill us off.
mm,
So every day we wake up and we go outside and we do what we do,
mhm.
we are like we are a reminder that like you tried it. And you didn't succeed and you continuously fail and we continue to be better. We continue to be the
Mm,
smartest. We continue to create shit. We continue to be the trends that your kids is following. We
mm,
continue to be what you're striving to be.
mm.
And we came from, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's the biggest flex. It's the flex ever.
It
To be
is.
in America waking up every day and
Mm,
going outside and showing up the way you can show, it's the biggest flex that
mm,
one could ever have.
mm.
Yeah.
I received that. I really do. Like, and not that you were just speaking it into me specifically, you were just
Yeah.
sharing your perspective, but yeah, I think it's so easy to not sit in that and like
Hell yeah.
to be fixated on the plight, on the struggle, on the grind.
Absolutely.
And I think like right now specifically, like this is a moment in culture where the celebration of joy, the cultivation of joy has become so important. I think it's always been important,
We're
but
naming it. We're
yeah,
starting to name
but
it.
I think our generation specifically, alongside, arm in arm with previous generations before us, are really starting to go back to that. Because I think you said spirituality is something that's like a staple of the culture, and I think that spirituality is again like rooted in joy, rooted in celebration, rooted in this undeniable, profound, just intuitive knowing that like we out here and we not going
We ain't
nowhere.
going nowhere.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we can laugh even
Mm-hmm.
in the most difficult
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
When things are not the greatest, we still
Mm-hmm.
gonna find a reason to barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
Still gonna find a reason to come together,
Mm-hmm.
yap, chat, whatever, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It ain't a lot, but it's something we can share it. Here you go. We going you
Mm-hmm.
know, we making it we are showing up the best way that we can for what we
Mm-hmm.
got, regardless of circumstances. And obviously all of us are in different places, right? Every
Right.
black person in America does not live in the ghetto. Every black person in America is not under the poverty line.
Mm-hmm.
Every black person in America is not necessarily wealthy, right? And that's for everybody. That's
Mm-hmm.
not just us.
Right.
But like we're able to find the joy in wherever we at for real. And sometimes we don't even know that we finding the joy.
Mm-hmm.
Because we just doing what we typically do.
Right.
Kicking it with our homeboys, our
Mm-hmm.
homegirls, getting together with the family. Like that's just what we do. Whole
Yeah.
time that's us creating space for joy outside of the fact that they be trying to kill us.
Yeah. It's community and it's like what Kendrick and Sam Jackson were able to illuminate in the Super Bowl performance. Is
Yeah.
like community is the cultural cheat code. Like if we're gonna escape all of the terror, all of the despair, and respond with action and respond with intention, like we gotta be in community.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, I think in answer to the question of what are some staples in the Black culture that I would add to that list, and I mean there are a number of things that we can add to the list, but I think it's also like hair, um,
Oh yes, that's a good one.
which also kind of like intersects with like style and fashion.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about music, we've talked about language, we've talked about spirituality, we've talked about fashion and hair being staples of Black culture. The only other thing that I could think to add, like there as you were talking, there were just things coming up like and this and that. Um, I think also a staple is It is community. And I think you can tie that to it can be threaded throughout any of the things that we're talking about. We're talking about music, talking about hair, talking about fashion, talking about language, like community is threaded throughout that. But I think it's important to highlight it as a specific staple
Mm,
because I know growing up, I often heard messages of like, every other culture, stands up for each other and like
mm,
is really there for each other, but Black people is always like coming at each other. Like we're always infighting a lot of the time.
mm,
And I think there are definitely moments and times where that's the truth.
mm.
But like anything, there's nuance to that. There's
Right,
context to it, and
right,
we can't
right.
decontextualize. But like I do think like anytime me personally, and I know that I'm not the only one that has this thought or that says this thing when I see something that is like is a Black person experiencing joy or is a Black person just being really fucking funny or really fucking good and excellent at something that they do, even if it's like something completely amateur or like out there and just rare. Like, I mean, I could see a nigga do a kickflip and I'd be like, yes, I love Black people. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I'm here for us, and I
yeah,
think we all collectively have that same energy and love. I
absolutely.
just think there are times and there are definitely spaces because you were pointing out earlier about how like not every Black person is below the poverty line, and like you got Blacks that live in the suburbs, you got Blacks that live in a more inner city, you got Blacks that live in
Right.
the country, like, and every one of those people are valid, their experiences are valid, their relationship and their relationship, I feel like I said that weird. To the culture and their Blackness is also valid as well. However, at the same time, like how well we all gel with like
Mhm.
being connected to that, being exposed to those different experiences. Like I don't really have many experiences with like Southern Blacks.
Mhm.
Even though my mom was born in Georgia, and a lot of our roots, especially as Black Americans, like start in the South.
Right.
But I don't really have that many experiences personally. Like community is very much, and like we can feel like even when we're not in a space collectively together, especially like in a virtual space or online space, we can feel the joy, we can feel like the pride, um, and just the love, the abundance that is the abundance that is there, even if it is distant. And I think that is the overarching thread, or at least one of the overarching threads that does keep us connected, even when there is some infighting, even when we're not always on the same page or we don't all think the same, because we're not all going
Mhm.
to think the same.
Right.
I think community is a staple, and I mean I think that applies to any culture. I don't
Absolutely.
think it's nothing that I've or that we've even spoken to, although earlier we was definitely like we the blueprint, and I believe that because
Yeah.
multiple things can be true at the same time. We're the
Yes.
blueprint,
Okay.
and none of the things that we've spoken to was exclusive to Black culture. Like it can
Yeah.
exist in other cultures as well. um and there's an appreciation that we can all share about cultures, but and I believe you would also too. We gonna also stand on business on the fact that like
That part. We the ones.
we the Genesis.
Yeah.
We the Genesis
Come on.
for most things, if not
Yeah.
all things. So
But most.
us,
Yeah.
but
For
most.
sure. You're gonna find a sprinkle of us in pretty much
Exactly.
everything.
Exactly.
I want to touch on a few so the community piece 100%, and I
Mm,
think even the way in which where we gather,
mm,
like barbershops and salons, right?
hmm
That has always been
hmm
I think a foundation of blackness and expression. And you talked about hair being one, which is a really good one. You made me think of food.
Yeah. How do
Food
we
is that
not?
I don't even know how I didn't name that the first, but
Yeah.
food, that's
Yeah.
a big one, right?
hmm
Like, so yes, I feel like that could go further, but I just wanted to name those two things too.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And obviously, like with our admiration and adoration of the staples of Black culture, the other side of that, of course, are stereotypes. And
Yeah,
I think our relationship to our Blackness and Black culture is also influenced by stereotypes,
absolutely.
whether we think that they're valid or not, whether we accept them
100%.
or not. But I
Yeah.
do want to be clear that the stereotypes are definitely things that have been imposed upon us and
Mm-hmm.
have been decontextualized. Like,
Yep.
for instance, Black people love chicken, Black people love watermelon. Like, and this is something that I recently became aware of, but like it's it's almost like not surprising the more that you unearth ties back to the enslavement of African people.
Yeah.
Like it usually always goes back to that. Like, oh, there's a reason for that because during this time period,
Yep.
this is all we had access to.
It's all connected.
It's all
All
connected in that
connected.
way. But at the same time, like as a black person, I do love chicken. That's what my everyday consists of. It's like chicken and rice. And that's what we're surviving off, honey, unless we going out to
Yeah.
eat. It's chicken
Yeah.
and rice in this home.
I have a complicated relationship with chicken. I like chicken,
Mm,
but again, my mama kept chicken quarters in the freezer. My
mm-hmm.
whole like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like you get tired of this chicken quarter. I don't want no more chicken. I don't want a chicken quarter. I don't want it.
There's other parts of the
Um,
chicken.
it is, but she would get those, and I think it's because they came in a big bag,
Mm-hmm.
and they was like on the for the low for real.
Right.
So there's that, and I don't like white meat, so I don't like a chicken breast.
Mm,
I mean, I don't prefer it. I
mm,
really prefer dark meat, like the wing, the
mm-hmm.
thigh. Give me that before you give me a breast. However, there are some people who make some good, like cut up the grilled chicken breast
Mm-hmm.
and do something to it and make it good.
Yeah, yeah.
I've had it, it's true, but my go-to is dark meat.
Mm,
Love that. But no, I'm right there with you on the stereotypes. I think in
mm,
regards to how they show up today and what they look like even today, right? Like
mm,
obviously some major stereotypes are like the Aunt Jemima,
mm,
Mammy stereotype, which is
mm-hmm.
that older black woman who is giving maid energy,
Yeah,
nurture energy typically. She's typically round, and has a bigger breast and butt,
yeah,
is oftentimes viewed as like this grandma caretaker figure.
right.
I feel like that's kind of how it has evolved in the hypersexualized black woman,
The
right? Like
Jezebel.
over sexualized,
Mm-hmm.
trying to steal your white man, which don't nobody want him. But
It's
anyway.
Mrs. Still Your Girl.
um the like savage man, the man
Mm,
who is out of control,
mm.
what's the term that what was that, Clinton who said that super predator.
Ah, yeah.
Called, called the
Mm,
babies super predators.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
And basically that was a new form of this stereotype that our boys and our men are uncontrollable. They're
Mm,
animals.
mm-hmm.
They are animalistic. They don't know how to carry themselves in a way that is not all over the place and just
Yeah.
crazy, dangerous and
Yeah.
violent. I feel like those are
Well,
the three that pop up the most for me.
okay. And if it comes back to you, definitely interrupt me. But
Mm,
I wanted to really touch on that point that the last one that you made, the super predator. This is the foundation of white supremacy, right? Of white dominant culture saying that anything outside of being white, of being Christian,
hmm
specifically if you're like Catholic or Protestant or Anglo-Saxon, things of that nature, of being heterosexual, of being able-bodied,
hmm
of being cisgender, so you agree you are in alignment with the sex you were assigned at birth. And then the list goes on and on in terms of identity. Like outside of that being what is normal and what is, I guess, approved of,
hmm
and that being put on a pedestal as superior, everything else is uncivilized, everything else is
Yeah.
inherently violent, is uncontrollable, like you said, just has this very negative, connotation. And I
Yeah.
just think that's really telling
Yeah.
that when creating a narrative that there is a have and a have not, there is a powerful group and a powerless group,
hmm
that those in power immediately dehumanize, immediately debase, immediately devalue the other group,
Yeah.
in order to make themselves feel better. And like in the most simplest terms, it's like you're a bully, bitch.
Yeah. Heavy
You're
on
a
that.
bully.
Heavy on
And
that.
and you stand on that as a way to get access to things, as a way to abuse, use, exude your power and
Mhm.
privilege, and
Mhm.
think like that's a way to be in the world. And it's
Mhm.
absolutely positively not. It does so much to destroy, to kill, to pillage, to do all the things that are just
Mhm.
not conducive to a productive, to a healthy, to a harmonious, to a loving, a beloved community and society for real. Um, but I wanted to focus on the fact that it's telling because it's like history shows that all of these characteristics that are assigned to the out group, because white supremacists and those who believe and subscribe to those ideologies believe that they are the in group.
Yes.
You're calling out yourselves. Like you're literally looking in a mirror and like all of those things that you subscribe to us and other communities that are not you.
Projecting.
Exactly, it's projection.
Hmm.
It's textbook projection. And it's
Yeah.
it's crazy to me that like some people will just be so delusional and so indoctrinated that they don't
Yeah.
that they don't see it.
Yeah.
Um and so yeah, I just really wanted to emphasize that and zoom in on that because people need to wake the fuck up.
Yeah.
Please.
Quite literally. Quite
Please.
literally.
I
No.
also wanted to add too, because earlier you made the comment that the way in which stereotypes manifest today look a
Oh
little
yeah.
different.
Hmm.
And you have mentioned the Mammy, the Jezebel being one, the like violent, savagery type of attributed to our males. I also think what's been on the forefront of dialogue right now is also this concept of strength, like what strength
Yeah.
means, what it looks like for a man, what it looks like for a woman, and also strength in relation to vulnerability. Women wanting to be in their soft girl era, women being in their masculine bag versus being in their feminine bag. Same thing for men, like masculinity versus femininity. How we subscribe, like okay, if this is feminine, too feminine for a man, then is it homosexual? Like there's a lot there. And I know there's rampant homophobia in the black community. There's rampant homophobia in general. Like for whatever reason we're scared of like not we're scared. I'm not scared of the gays.
Yeah.
But like society, general society is scared of the gays. And it's just it what it comes down to me is really just fear and ignorance. And it's like
That's
when
all.
we don't understand something, we are made to fear it. And I wonder where that comes from. Like, what is the origin of that? I hate that that is like a crux for humanity. It's just like when we are afraid of something, we immediately want to move to like distancing ourselves from it instead of leaning towards it and trying to like examine it in a way that's like respectable and not going to put the person or the subject or whatever it is under a microscope and make it like this nasty or like corrupted thing.
Yeah.
Um, but I digress. I just think that's another stereotype is just like what does strength look like and being a man and being a woman in the black community. I think
Yeah.
that's another stereotype.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. You brought up a couple things, and one other stereotype that I remembered as you were talking was like the angry black woman stereotype.
Hmm.
Oh, baby, that has been plaguing my life since the beginning. Like,
Hmm.
um, so it's that one, and then what was I gonna say? I think with the fear component and stuff like that, fearing things that are unknown or that you're not familiar with, I do
Hmm.
think a part of it does come back to this idea of power and holding it. So
Hmm.
when something unfamiliar comes along, you might not even necessarily fear it, but to keep hold of whatever power you have, you have to essentially play on fear to keep other people from being curious enough to sit at the table with those folks and hear what they have to say or hear who they are and hear their perspective, right? Like so it's
Hmm.
like when you talked about that, I thought about like white flight
Hmm.
when around the time when people, I mean, and it still happens, but like around the time where integration was really happening, they are integrating schools and they're integrating
Hmm.
neighborhoods. And the white people, like somebody would tell the white people, like, yo, your housing, the price is going to skyrocket, blase,
Hmm.
blase, whatever. And so they might not even be they, as white individuals, may not have even had a fear towards black people, but it ended up being like, well, I don't want my property value to go down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even really about me living next to a black person. It's about the fact that I want my money to be right and I want my house to have equity or and whatever else is
Mm-hmm.
attached to that, right?
Yeah.
And so I think there's that part too where playing off of the fear ends up it helps somebody's pockets.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that just in general, like oppression, suppressing people and stuff like that is you getting it's some paper attached to that.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody is getting paid for certain things and how they move and how they work. You getting paid when you tell all the white people your prices are gonna go super high or super low or whatever, and now they move to a specific. You didn't curated a space for them to move to, and
Mm-hmm.
now you know what I'm saying. Like it
Yeah.
ends up all a lot of it does come down to money, and it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting because even us, right? Even our ancestors, rather, some of our ancestors, it came down to we it was a price on us.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, they figured out a way. A way has been figured out to still have a price attached to us.
Mm-hmm.
And it might
Yeah.
not be in the same way that it was, right, with physically selling us. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
it's like it's embedded into,
Yeah.
what we consume, what they consume,
Yeah.
um, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yes, I understand that, and I know those things to be true because it is a manufactured truth.
Yeah.
Um, but I know like the thought that kept reoccurring to me while I was listening to you lay that out is just I even hate that like our understanding of certain things is contextualized in this narrative of it being white versus black, of it being
Oof,
white
yeah.
supremacy versus black liberation. That it's even tied to those things. Like
Yeah.
because it's a lie. Like it's a lie and it's also a manufactured truth. Like the idea to tell families, and there were definitely families that absolutely were like, no, I don't want to live next to a black
Oh,
person. Like you
100%.
didn't you didn't
A
and
hundred percent.
I'm not saying that to you like
Yeah.
to correct you. I'm
No,
saying
no,
that to
no. I
correct
didn't say
anybody
yeah.
else that might be
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
and being like, well, yeah, like and then start to think like, well, yeah, they were just innocent. Hell
No,
no.
no, no.
No, 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 no.
No.
Come
That is
correct.
not what we saying.
No.
No,
There
no.
were definitely families that was like, absolutely, I do not want
Yeah.
anything to do with, yes, like
Racist bigots. They
get,
were.
yes,
A hundred
get us
percent.
out of here. But it's just like the idea, again, it goes back to what we both agree on about it being the polarity of fear and ignorance, or the
Yeah.
dichotomy of fear and ignorance is like that logically doesn't make any sense. Like when you really sit and think about it, like the fact that like, oh, a black family is gonna move into this neighborhood and that's
Yeah.
going to decrease your property values.
Yeah.
Well, but why would the
Right.
property values just like why would the fact that a black family lives in this neighborhood have anything to do with the property value? Like if
Exactly.
all the houses are the same
Then
and the
what
banks
exactly does
like the what exactly is different? Like what's happening? And it's like, oh, because you're attributing it specifically to this black family, so it's racism. That's what it is.
yeah.
Like that's the
Yeah.
problem. But like it was just because it was just so accepted and so cultivated by white supremacists. So like, no, believe in this. Like
Yeah.
the ideology of it is so powerful because they've
Yeah.
worked so hard to create to manufacture these systems that just churn out lies where people just are not aware of like how they're just throwing logic away. Like, it's like you
Yeah.
have to be logical and also emotional. Like there's a place
Yeah.
for both of them. And if
Right.
like all you are is emotional, I'll say this and then we can move forward unless of course you have like a response in
Okay.
to what I'm about to say. But I just finished a series. It's something that I recommended to you. It's called The Madness.
Oh yeah.
Coleman Domingo. You might know him from what's it called? It was the HBO Euphoria with Zendaya.
Mhm.
I forget what his character's name was in that, but he stars as the main character in the show. And essentially, without trying to spoil it, if you do want to watch it on your own, not just you, Glow, but any of the viewers, he is a black pundit for CNN. And he gets caught up in a murder and then essentially framed for that murder. And the person that he supposedly murders is a white supremacist.
Mhm.
And so then he goes on a journey to try and to unframe himself and also to uncover like who and how the hell did I get brought into any of this?
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And there's a scene in one of the episodes where I believe it was he was getting ready to do like a tell-all kind of like interview or whatever. And
Okay.
the white correspondent came to him and was just like, we really want you to lean on the emotion of things because people respond to emotion. They want something to be outraged about. They don't turn this into a lecture. Like don't try to educate and get up there and use your voice and this platform to expose the reality and the truth of things. Just scream, yeah, like a terrible thing happened to you. So, and
Mhm.
it's like that's very much true. And he would have been valid either way. He'd have been valid if he got up there and he was emotional and he was like
Absolutely.
pissed off that this happened to him because like that's his right to feel that way.
Absolutely.
um because it was a fucked up thing. But he didn't do that. Like he kept his composure. He laid out all the facts and whatnot have you. It made me think about a number of things. One is like it is true, like people do want something to be outraged about. Like you see something on Twitter or Instagram, on TikTok, and you feel some type of way about it, you retweet it, you repost it, you reshare it, you copy the link, whatever the case may be, and then you may go and talk about it with your colleagues at work or with in your social groups and things of that nature. And it's just something that like lives in your mind until
Mhm.
something else comes along, and now you're outraged about that. And it's like outrage only gets you so far. Like anger, and we talked about this on our last episode, like anger only gets you so far. And
Yep.
anger, I think anger is ancestral. I think anger and rage are they have a very spiritual component,
Mhm.
and it's necessary.
Mhm.
Um, but it isn't enough to be angry. Like it's a place to start because like if you're not having any kind of reaction to the things that you're seeing, and it's just like you've become so desensitized,
Yeah. Which is not
desensitized.
good.
Let me come up. Let me use a different word. I know that word, but that's just not coming out right. Like it's become so you're just so used to it now. It's
Yeah.
so normal now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um that it doesn't still like disturb you. That's a problem. You need to examine that.
Absolutely.
Check
We
that out.
don't want apathy.
Yeah, we don't want apathy. But back to the point that I was making of like people are looking for something to be outraged about. That is the case.
Mhm.
And the folks that are in control of our media and create a lot of these different narratives, like they know, like they understand somewhat a little bit, even if they're not well versed or like experts in it. They know enough about the psychology of people that if you just keep like breadcrumbing, like
Oh yeah.
think about how the structure of the news is. It'll be like a
Yeah.
plethora of like terrible, disparaging stories,
Back to
and then
back.
maybe like one or two like, and this happy good thing happened, just to keep you
But
like
and they
give
say
you enough of that serotonin so you could continue watching. Like that's crazy.
if it bleeds, it leads. Have
Yeah.
you heard that like phrase within like the communications media
If it bleeds,
area
it leads.
whatever.
I've
It's
not heard
like
that specific phrase, but that concept, that idea
yeah,
of like you want to use something that's sensationalizing to
yeah.
capture people's attention, to draw them in, and then,
Hmm.
hold them for whatever the punchline or the big finish is, is
Hmm.
is wild to me. And the fact that like it's like we're evolving, but we're also regressing at the same time. Like
Heavy on that. Heavy
like
on
it's a
heavy
weird
on that.
cycle. And I don't know, I'm not saying this, I'm not speaking from a place of like I'm not subject to any of it. Like I'm absolved of this or I'm above it. I'm absolutely not. Like I fall victim to it all the time. And knowing that I do fall victim to it makes me think like it's less of a victimization and it's more of like kind of just like a just this nuanced state of like being aware or like cognizant of things, but just it's like a fish in water. Like this is the world we live in. Like I can't
Quite literally.
get
Yeah.
away from it. It's
Yeah, no,
gonna be
we're
around.
all consuming. We're all
Yeah,
everything we consume is having an
yeah,
impact on us, whether or not we see it or not.
yeah,
Whether or not we can pinpoint it when
yeah.
we watch shows, when we watch certain things on TikTok, see
Right.
stuff on Instagram or whatever. You are. subconsciously receiving that.
Mm-hmm.
It is doing something to your brain makeup.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's some people who are like, I'm not easily influenced. I'm blah blah blah, baby. Everything you watching, you're taking it in. Music you listen to, you taking it in. Um, and it is impacting how you show up.
Yeah.
It's impacting how you think.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be in a space. You have to create. Excuse me. You have to create space for yourself. And that's why being able to sit in silence and sit by yourself and sit in your energy is so important because you need to create space and time to sit and think about, okay, how do I feel?
Mm-hmm.
What do I think?
Yeah.
Not well, I seen this video and so I just kind of think that what they said is where I'm at.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you'll be watching shit and you like, oh, that's an interesting point. Like, yeah, I see what they saying. Even though, like, and you might feel like you agree, but whole time you might not agree. You just understand their point. It's a
Mm-hmm.
difference between understanding something versus agreeing and
Right.
that being also where you stand.
Right.
Both can happen, right? But if you don't create the time and space to sit with yourself and think, where do I fall? How
Mm-hmm.
do I feel about this?
Mm-hmm.
What are my feelings or thoughts or my opinions
Right.
around these things?
Right.
You will find yourself being like a lot of people are, I would say, in today's age, just regurgitating what you watch
Mm-hmm.
somebody on a podcast say.
Right.
What do you actually and I found in having conversation,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people will make they'll make statements and say certain things.
And not really know what
Once
it
you
means.
ask them,
Yeah.
well, say more about that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
can you kind of unpack that and like because what you're saying is X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
And then you find that they're like, well, no, that's not how I feel. That's not, and it's like that's because you never actually took the time to unpack what was being said. You're just saying shit because you think it sounds good.
Yeah.
Whole time you have not critically thought about it.
Mm.
Critical thinking.
Yeah.
We're losing it.
I don't even
Losing it.
know. I don't even know. I don't know that I would say that we're losing it. I don't like, and I don't know that I would also say that it was never there. I just think I've heard a lot of people say like we're in this age of information, and then with all the information that we have access to, there's disinformation, there's misinformation. The difference between those two things, if you don't know, and I could get these backwards, so feel free to fact check it by Googling it yourself. I know one of them is like purposeful, like you purposely put information out. And
Yeah.
I want to say that that's disinformation. Like you purposely are planting seeds of things that are not true. And the
Mm-hmm.
misinformation is like, is inaccurate. Like it got out and it
Mm-hmm.
got out, it was wrong. And then you would go back and correct it to what it really was supposed to be. So one is intentional and one isn't intentional. And it's like, when I learned that Google I saw it in a TikTok and like yes, TikTok, Instagram, like that's not news, but it's like can we really trust just because like it's Fox
Yeah.
or it's CNN and like it's a major conglomerate,
At this
are we
point.
supposed to trust that it's factual, that it's valid? I mean, it's also business and like they have to maintain viewership, you know? And so
And
like
somebody owned them.
and somebody owns them.
Let's
And
be for
usually the
real.
people that own them own other things that are involved in like
Yeah.
doing corruptible like immoral things. And like we're all and like the reality is like we're all a part of it. Like we can't even point the finger and be like there is a difference though between like the people in power making the decisions and what they're doing and like us being a part of like the byproduct or like the consequences of those things that are
Right.
happening.
Right.
But it's all still bad. Like even, like I think the people making the decision, that's worse, but like bad is bad is bad is bad.
Right.
Um but I say all that to say that like it really just jars it jars me that like these things are so interwoven and interconnected.
Hmm.
It can make you think that like there isn't a way through. Like there isn't an end, that there isn't like a victory to be won or a liberation um to be achieved because it's
Yeah.
like we're drowning in it
Mhm.
every day, like
Yeah.
all the time. But got to be careful not to like rest in that space and like to become very comfortable and like set up shop and home in that space
Yeah.
of being in like this despair kind of mindset,
Mhm.
because then you will do nothing and then you do become apathetic, and that becomes a problem. It's so jarring to me, and I often talk about it with my therapist Ashley about it, like, bro, this sucks and I hate it so much. And like, what do I do? How do I be
Yeah.
effective? How do I show up well? How do I maintain this relationship that's personal to me to all of these concepts and these ideas, and then also detach from those things? Because I think there was something that you had said. I don't think I'm gonna be able to recall it now, because there's just so many things that are firing off in
Yeah.
my brain, and I'm trying to stay on one path, y'all.
Got it.
Like,
You
I
got
need
it. You
one
got it.
train to go. But I don't remember exactly what you said, but it's essentially like this idea that critical thinking doesn't exist, and I think there's just a series of unlearning, relearning, undefining, redefining. Like, there's this constant push and pull and shape and molding that people go through, and it's constant and never stops. And I think some people get to a place where they've reached a specific space and able to maintain a specific set of resources. They become complacent, and it's like, I'm good here. I don't have to do nothing else. Me and mine are taken care of. We're done. And going back to this idea of like what it means for a Black woman to be strong, we often want to save things. We often want to fix and restore. And I see that play out in my life, because us having this conversation
Mhm.
is very much me being deliberative right now and me
Right.
thinking
Yeah.
about all the things and like, where do we go from here? And then there's a point in time where it's like, okay, well, how do I restore? How do I repair? How do I essentially fix
Mhm.
something that I believe is broken, and what is in my control and what isn't in my control? And as a strong Black woman, right, you want to be able to like turn everything on its head and like dismantle the broken things
Yeah.
completely so that you can build something anew. But
Mhm.
what does that actually look like in your day to day? Because like, we're both social workers, we both believe in systems change. I think personally, I subscribe more now to transformation more than just like reform, because
Yeah.
I've been exposed to conversation and dialogue about the difference between those things. Because
Mhm.
reform just means we are going to put a band-aid, like we're going to respond to the symptom of the thing. So like, whatever the consequence of the root cause is, we're just going to address that, and then things will get things like marginally, like over
Mhm.
time, one by one. Transformation is just like, no, we gonna uproot the
Mhm.
disease. But it's like, how do you uproot a disease
Yeah.
that it lives in all of us? Like, it's not going to go away. It's always going to be there. How do you get rid of it? And it's a cancer. Like, racism, white supremacy, it's a cancer. Like, and
Yes.
not all cancers are curable, but it's just like, does that mean the fate of the thing is you just have to accept that that's what it is, and carve
Yeah.
out your little piece of happiness and humanity, and great, or should you be struggling to like, no, we have to continue to call out this thing? And I think
Yeah.
that is, for me personally, like, when I think about culture, earlier you talked about the struggle, the plight, like,
Mhm.
that undoubtedly is a staple of like what it means to be a Black person. Is like, are you going to play against the struggle,
Yeah.
or are you going to play into the struggle? And I think when I say that, I mean playing into the struggle is like, you're gonna do what you can to carve out your happiness, and then that's it. Playing against the struggle is like, no, I'm gonna stand my ground, stand 10 toes to the day that I die. And I
Mhm.
feel like, and being a Black person in this world, you struggle, like, you're
Yeah.
going
No,
back and forth between those
that's
two things.